Virgin Voyages bar tab. What are all the ways you can and cannot use Virgin Voyages bar tab? And what are all the most important things that you need to know that most people get wrong? In this video, we're talking about all the things you need to know, starting with what are the things that you can use bar tab on? Let's break it down. The most obvious answer, I feel, is also a top misperception, which is a lot of people think that bar tab is just used on alcoholic beverages. It absolutely can be, but there's also a lot more to it than that. So yes, bar tab can be used on all the wine, all the cocktails, all the beer on the ship. It can also be used on, right, your liquor, your spirits, etc. But what a lot of people don't realize is there's a whole other beverage program of other specialty or premium drinks that you can use your bar tab on. You do not, absolutely do not need to drink alcohol to be able to really utilize your bar tab. So let's talk about some of the non-alcoholic drinks. The first is wine. So you are allowed to bring your own 2 bottles of wine on embarkation day. Most people get this wrong. They're like, oh, I went to port, I want to bring it on. No. It's the day you get onto the ship. You can bring 2 bottles of wine, not huge wine, not ginormous wine, not a big box of wine, just 2 regular bottles of wine, which yes, champagne is included. Check out the blog post, it'll break it down for you. But if you bring this wine to a restaurant and you're not drinking it in your stateroom, for example, you need to pay a corkage fee. Right now, the current corkage fee is $25 per bottle. And yes, you can use your bar tab on that. The other thing you can use your bar tab on is to buy other people drinks. You can absolutely buy other sailors drinks. But if you want to understand some of the nuances, I'm going to break down a lot of the top things that people get wrong about understanding how bar tab works and how to use it. Oh, and also how to get it. There's a lot of things to break down here. But first, ahoy, I'm Christine Lozada and I love meeting you all on the ship. It's so special. Thank you to everyone who has booked their sailings with us. This is how you can support this channel. I'm here for you with the most helpful content. My travel agent and business partner, JC, is here to get you the best deal out there. Make sure you have enough sailor loot and bar tab on your sailing by price comparing with us. We got you covered. More info in the description. Most people miss it. Let's jump into some top misperceptions, which is around what you cannot use bar tab on, because there are some nuances and details that most people get wrong. And to be honest, I did too. It's normal. Like some of these things are not straightforward. So let's break down this list. Sip and savor. What the heck is sip and savor? You cannot use your bar tab on this. What exactly is it? At each of the restaurants on Virgin Voyages, there's a separate menu that breaks out a suggested food item with a suggested, and it comes with it, either cocktail or wine option. The whole thing is priced at less than buying those drinks altogether. So quick example, let's say at the wake, they have a suggested food item. It comes with, and you can choose the wine pairings that go with it. You can change the food items, but the wine pairing that goes with it is set. And the total price of all of that wine costs way less. It's a great value versus buying each of the glasses individually. A great way to literally sip and savor and also save. And so this is an item that you cannot use bar tab on. So a lot of people get stuck on that, and it's important to know. The next thing you cannot use bar tab on, this trips up a lot of people because they're like, wait a minute, I'm drinking alcohol at this event. How come I have to use sailor loot and not bar tab on it? And those are things like grog walk, right? The bar crawl around the ship. It's a hosted event by the Happenings cast, right? It's a hosted event. It's almost like an entertainment show. And yes, you are getting drinks as a result of it. But this item, you're using your sailor loot on and not your bar tab. You cannot use bar tab on drinking events. Another one, for example, Lotteria, or some of the cocktail making events, for example. These are all ones you're using sailor loot on. And if you're like, wait a minute, what the heck is sailor loot? That's onboard credit on Virgin Voyages. And there's an entire podcast around what's the difference between sailor loot and bar tab. So make sure you check out that podcast episode. And if you're getting some value, cheers that like button, consider subscribing. Tell me in the comments below when you're sailing next. I'm a cruise crasher, and I don't know, I sail a lot. see you on the ship. I want to know when you're going to be there. This next one might seem obvious, but a lot of people don't understand that this is how it works. So your bar tab is not used on spa. It's not used on shopping. It's not used on basically non-bar items. A lot of people still ask this question, and it's important to know. But I also want to break down. So those items, right? Sailor Loot is what you're using those for. And if you don't have any Sailor Loot and you don't have any bar tab, that basically means you didn't book your sailing with us. So make sure you do that. But the other thing is that a lot of people get confused about how the payments work. So if you don't have bar tab and you don't have Sailor Loot and you messed up because you didn't book with us, then you are simply using the credit card that you had put on file, right? You're still using your band to be able to tap and pay for things, but it's just going directly to your credit card. In the instance that you have Sailor Loot and bar tab, if you go to a bar, right, and you go buy a mocktail, for example, then it's going to come from bar tab first. It's going to use your bar tab on things from the bar. Once you have no more bar tab, then it will pull from Sailor Loot. A lot of people get worried. They're so worried. I have both. What am I going to do? Like, oh, it's going to pull from my Sailor Loot. How do I make sure it pulls from the bar tab? It will do that. Just tranquilo and chill. It's all right. It's going to come from the bar tab first. Once that's zeroed out, then Sailor Loot. Make sure you have both. Book your sailing with us. Ooh, you know what is kind of confusing though? This one confuses some people because they're like, okay, so I get it that I can't use my bar tab on shopping, but what about the booty free, right? What about the shop that sells alcohol? So first of all, you can't buy big bottles of alcohol like liquor and wine from the booty free store and then drink it on the ship. It doesn't work that way. You buy it and then you can drink it after you get off the ship, right? They'll deliver it to your room the night before you get off the ship, and that's when you take it home with you. A lot of people think they're like, oh, well, why would I get a bar tab? I'll just buy the alcohol, buy the bottle on the ship. That's not how it works. And that booty-free shop is considered a shop. So it's not your bar tab that's being used on that, right? So it's your Sailor Loot or your credit card if you don't have either to be able to purchase items from Booty Free. All right, so let's recap that, right? So what is bar tab? It's that promotional credit that you're using towards alcohol, non-alcoholic premium drinks around the ship, right? Like, let's remember, Virgin Voyages is different than other cruise lines. There are standard drinks, normal drinks that are provided to you for free, right? Like water, sparkling water on the ship, that's all included. Regular drip coffee, right? The coffee that's available 24/7 in the galley, for example, that's free. Or your juices, your regular juices, those are free. What's not free? Alcohol's not free. Mocktails are not free. Premium coffee, you're like, what's premium coffee? Your lattes, your macchiatos, your cappuccinos, your flat whites, those are premium coffees. Those cost money and you are using your bar tab on those. The fresh pressed juices, right? Regular juice, that's fine. Go get that out of the machine. Tastes delicious. But things like freshly squeezed orange juice, oh, it's so delicious. Get it from, well, you can get it from a lot of places, but I love having it at brunch. It's so good. Fresh pressed juices, smoothies, things like that. This is what you're using your bar tab on. So you're probably wondering, like, how do I get bar tab, right? You might be watching this video because you're seeing a promotion that's out there about bar tab, or there's a bar tab kicker where it's like, oh my gosh, if I book my sailing, I get all of this extra bar tab. And most people will say to us, oh, well, but what am I going to use it on? Like, what am I going to use all this bar tab on? You can, right? So we've broken that down, and you may have gotten your bar tab from a promotion. The other way you can get bar tab is by purchasing it. If you purchase bar tab, then Virgin Voyages will give you a kicker. So the numbers haven't changed too much lately, but imagine something like pay X amount and then receive X amount plus some extra Y amount. And Virgin Voyages is adding a little bit extra to your bar tab if you pre-purchase it. When I say pre-purchase, I'm referring to buy it on the app before you set sail. Buy it on the website before you set sail. Buy it at the port before you set sail. You cannot buy bar tab once you are on the ship. And a lot of people get hung up on this next one where they're like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm going to buy bar tab and I'm going to get this extra promotional amount on top of it from Virgin Voyages. Cool. What about Sailor Loot? No, sorry, this is my opinion. Sailor Loot, you're basically just, you may as well just use your credit card. What I mean by that is a lot of people are like, I need to pre-purchase Sailor Loot. It does not work the same way as bar tab. So if you purchase $100 of Sailor Loot and you spend $50 of that Sailor Loot, the other $50 is gone. Like it doesn't extend to anywhere else. You have to use all of it. So you may as well have just spent $50 directly to your credit card and not pre-purchase the Sailor Loot. In other words, bar tab gives you extra promotional value if you purchase it in advance. Bar tab can be received during things like the wave sale or promotional times throughout the year, and we got our eye out for you in terms of when these promotions are happening and how to navigate them. So make sure you're checking the playlist for all the videos to help guide you in being a smart traveler. When it comes to Sailor Loot, that is just onboard credit. If you receive it because you booked your sailing with us, great. Otherwise, in my opinion, you don't need to purchase it. I mean, we have some giveaways. We're purchasing some for you, but that's a whole other story. Check the info in the description. One thing a lot of people ask us is, well, like how much or how far will that bar tab get me? Like what's the average price of drinks on the ship? I'm gonna break it down for you, but I recommend like just come join me. Let's do a bars tour together. I will actually walk you through each of the menus and each of the bars with tips about each and the average prices of drinks on the ship. But in general, what you can anticipate is beer that's, I don't know, around $7 to $8. Wine, it really varies. Normally it's around $9 to $11. If you want a glass of Moet, that costs $25 currently. The other thing is, cocktails. Cocktails are around $14, but basic drinks like a Tito's and soda will cost you somewhere around $9. And then things like juices and smoothies will cost you around $9. All right, let's recap the key things to know so you can walk out of this video being a smart traveler. If you've gained some value out of this video, cheers that like button, consider subscribing, book your sailing with us. But also, we're all a community. If you have a helpful tip, add it in the comments below. I'm all about everyone helping each other to be smarter travelers. All right, let's recap this. Bar tab. Bar tab can be used for beverages, right? No retail, no sip and savor, no spa packages, things like that. It's for bar items. Yes, it is bar items that are not just alcohol, but non-alcoholic drinks, premium coffees, etc. How are you using your bar tab? Right? You're using it by tapping your band. Everything on Virgin Voyages is tied to your band. You're not bringing out your credit card or showing your ID or anything like that. You can buy drinks for other people. How does that work? You are tapping your band to be able to purchase that drink for another sailor. What happens if you run out of bar tab? Then it's simply kicking over to your Sailor Loot if you have it. And if you don't, then it's simply going to your payment method that you tied your band to. And here's another one that really messes people up. If you're in a cabin with 2 people, right? Or even 3 people, if you are not sharing an account, right? You can tie your voyage to someone else. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick up the tab for everyone in my cabin, for example. If that's the case, then you're all sharing that bar tab. If, for example, you're like, well, no, this is like a friend, like I ain't paying for this person, that's cool. You can separately tie your bands to 2 separate credit cards. If the cabin has bar tab, this is important. If the cabin promotional value got bar tab, then what happens is the primary sailor, Sailor 1, who booked first, right? Not the guest number 2, guest number 1, Sailor 1, is the one that has the bar tab assigned to their band. Got it? Whew, that's bar tab. I'm Christine Lozada. Book your sailing with us. Make sure you got some bar tab. Make sure you check the playlist, add your comments below, and also join me in the bars tour video and join me in the podcast about Sailor Loot versus bar tab. We got you. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.